Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. This is 61st Street, y'all. Okay, I'm doing a review and recap of this. This is season 1, episode 7. We got one episode left, y'all, and I'm trying to see how the heck they gonna finish this off, baby. Because there was some things happening up in this episode right here, okay? Let's go ahead and get into it. The name of this episode was Two Trials. Now, we know that they got our boy Moses locked up. They won't let him out, okay? And like I said, this is about the trial. So the trial has officially started. They in the courtroom. You know, we start out with the prosecutor basically showing, Michael with this hole in the back of his head, okay, making sure the visuals is there so everybody could see, the type of injury that he sustained when he was, unfortunately killed that day. And she is basically painting Moses out to be this drug dealer, right? She's saying, well, he was seen, not too far from where all the gangs was. He ran from there, right? His father was in a gang. So, of course, the rest of the family got to be in a gang, too. This is just a family full of drug dealers and gang members. They're basically trying to paint his mother as if she's Miss Kingpin, okay, or Queen Pin, right? That she's the head reeler. And I'm wondering because I remember them, trying to threaten her with this heroin and saying that they would basically bring her down for the heroin and her being like, y'all planted this here. But I'm thinking that once they let her and Joshua go and the fact that they had Moses now for the murder, that, pretty much the heroin thing was off the table. Well, no, baby, it's still there, okay? They're still there. They still talking about it. They saying how it matched with, the drugs that the boys had on the corner. So apparently they think the mother is putting her sons out there to work. They think she's supplying all the drug dealers. They saying how they found this under the mattress, which we know is all bull. And so, of course, Franklin is objecting. And, at one point, the judge called both of them over to the table. And she's like, oh, are you insinuating that I'm a racist? And he's like, listen, if the shoe fits, wear it, bitch. Okay. Now, he didn't say that. I'm saying that. But she was ticking me the heck off. She talking about, I'm just telling the facts. And so when Franklin gets up to do his disposition, he's basically saying, now explain this to me. How is this an honor roll student, a student that has a good GPA, a student that's on the track, a track star, that's getting a freaking a scholarship to go to college, have to have discipline for this, right? Have to be ambitious, have to be a hard worker. But yet he got time to sell drugs too. He was like, she's over here trying to paint this picture, but I don't want y'all to see the picture that she painting. I essentially want you guys to really look and see yourselves as him. Put yourself in his shoes. Look at this from his view. Was he right to run? Should he have ran, or whatever the case may be? What would be the reason why he would run? There is a real fear there from black men and boys that, maybe the cops is going to shoot me and kill me or whatever the case may be. And there's also a fear that we've seen in this country where it's like, oh, the big black guy, the big black boy, he was scary or whatever the case may be. And we know that there's a divide in this country. And so basically that's the angle that, Franklin is trying to use to tell the jury to look into his mind, right? And so he was like, I want you to imagine being him. At the same time, we see Martha giving this interview, and she's going on and on about stop and frisk, and she basically says the Chicago police are terrorists, and the girl was like, whoa, that's some heavy words. And she was like, I know, I thought long and hard, okay, before saying them. And so they was asking her, well, the lady that was interviewing her asked her, how does your husband feel about this, and would he agree with you calling the Chicago police terrorists? And Martha had to let her know, honey, I ain't got to ask my husband how he feel about anything, okay? My husband doesn't have to like anything that I do or say. And so the lady was like, oh, okay, I hear you. I'm sorry, my bad. We have her assistant saying she wanted her to make another stop somewhere else and come with her, that she really believes in her and people believe in her, and that this should be a call to action, okay? And that she was trending online already from her remarks, and she's saying she can't go. And she was like, well, why not? You can't say it's because of Franklin, because Franklin can't be feeling too bad because he over here at the court doing his case, girl. So, essentially Martha couldn't say nothing to that because it was true. Now, in the meantime, while this trial is going on. We're seeing, Moses keep turning around, turning around, turning around. He's basically looking for his mother and she's not there. We see that mama was stuck in the traffic, okay, because fake ass plumber boyfriend, I'm going to call him Plumber, okay, because I don't remember his name. And at this point, I don't care about his name because he ticked me off. But, he was giving her a ride and she basically was like, I'm going to get out and walk. And he was like, no, why would you do that? He was like, the traffic is about to clear up. So by the time, he gets to the court, he just wanted to drop her off and then be able to keep going. And this cop was like, oh, you can't stop here. You got to go. So they start having words back and forth. And he was like, basically her son is in there. She's on trial. I'm just trying to drop her off. The cop is coming out his face. He talking about, I don't care if she's the Queen of Sheba. And then he gets ticked off and was just telling Plumber to get out the car. He was like, seriously, man? Like, you going to do all of that? And so he tells her to go ahead and go inside the court or whatever the case may be. And, she leaves him there. He kept trying to explain himself. And it's like, obviously, this man don't want to hear whatever your explanations is. And so he just kept going, wow, wow, wow. And the guy was like, yeah, the cop was like, yeah, you a big tough guy, huh? And basically was throwing him up against the car. And like I said, while he was busy dealing with that, he told her to go ahead in. And so when she goes back into the courtroom, we have this cop on the stand and he's giving his testimony and he's still painting this picture, okay, that the prosecutor was trying to, paint before. He's saying how the mom is a kingpin, how they found these drugs in the house, at the same time, he's basically like, he had got the name from Joshua, whatever the case may be, as to where they could find Franklin, or that Franklin was the one that ran and, supposedly did this or whatever the case may be. And so, I'm sorry, Moses was the one that supposedly did this. And so Franklin is asking him like, well, how did you get Joshua in the first place? How did you get Moses' name? He was like, were you the one that was there? And so you were there when they found these drugs? And he was basically saying, yeah. And he was like, well, I'm confused. He was like, did Joshua get arrested for the drugs? No. Did the mother Moses' mother get arrested for the drugs? No. He was like, well, then I'm confused because you just finished saying how, she's this big kingpin and she's in charge of all these different drugs being distributed. I would think that you would want to take a person like that down. I never seen where you take drugs from somebody's house and, they don't do no time for it. I never heard of that. And the cop talking about, well, we had bigger priorities at that time. And so, of course, he tried to ask about them planting it, and they was like, oh, we don't do that, which we all know was bullcrap. And then Franklin was like, okay, yeah, I hear you. And so then he asked him about, was he the one there and how long did he take to Joshua, talk to Joshua? When did he take him in? When did he arrest him? And he plays this video where he basically catches him out there in a lie because they could see when Joshua was brought in. They could see that he went out again for 2 hours and then came back 2 hours later. And he was like, so did you take him for ice cream? And so, the cop was just looking and he was like, that's not a rhetorical question, okay? And so basically he's like, no. And then you got David. That part was kind of funny because David would stand up every so often or yell something from the back every so often. And, Franklin was letting the judge know, like, I'm sorry, that's my son. And basically David was yelling from the background, like, did you take him for ice cream? We want to know, okay? Quiet minds want to know. So, we have, the Sarge then take the stand, and he always swear he big bad man or whatever. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, before that even happened, we see that freaking mom's boyfriend is fake as they come, okay? When I had those bad feelings about him, I was 110% right, okay? He is a damn cop, okay? And he's been undercover all this time, and Sarge is telling him, I told you not to fall in love with, nobody, just do your job, and that's it. We then see that they also called the reporter to give him this scoop that Joshua is selling drugs or whatever. And so then the reporter comes and tells Franklin and says, so basically you're getting paid on this defense, from drug money. What a hypocrite you are. And gives him his card, like, just in case you want to reach out to me if you have any comment about this. And so Franklin had then went to Martha and was like, is it true You know, how could you not tell me about this? And Martha lets him know that it is true. And she also tells him about Rufus, aka Tutu, being a snitch, and the fact that he can't say anything about it or use this because that essentially could end up getting his mother hurt. All right. And so, of course, he can't go at any of this directly, but with that information plus what he already know, he's ticked off, you know, and he's just really trying to get at Sarge because now we have him on the stand. And so he's reading the statement to Sarge that he wrote, and he's like, now, you said you got kids? And he's like, yeah, I got two boys. I forget the ages, but I think it was like 10 and 15 or something like that. So he reads the statement. He was like, is there any 15-year-olds you know that talk like this, or any 17-year-olds you know that talk like this? And he was like, no. And he was like, yeah, so obviously you wrote this statement. Oh, well, you know, we talked and he said what he said, and then I wrote it out. You know, he then starts asking Sarge about his shootings and about how many of them were black. Of course, it was all of them. You know, he asked about the Rufus shooting, but he couldn't come direct at him about it. And he basically says he was the one that was in charge. You know, he's been on more of these cases than a lot of the other officers, so he knew what to do. You know, it was a justified shooting. He says, do you ever have to have the talk with your sons? And of course, Sarge is like, no. You know, he also wanted to be like, all lives matter. And so basically, you know, he was saying to him, do you know that that's a conversation that us black parents have to have with our kids all the time? And he was saying, basically trying to insinuate that it wasn't no need for black parents to be having the conversation, like whatever. And so we have Mr. Phony Boyfriend come back. And she's like, wait, they let you out already? And looking or whatever the case may be. And he took him out the whole time he was in there. He was thinking of her. And I'm just hoping she could see through this corny behind bull crap, okay? She looked like she was a little skeptical. But if anything, she looked like she more so was worried about, you know, the case that's going on. As she should be. You know, we had Brannigan on the stand, like I said. And, of course, he's more, you know, experience with this, and he gonna know how to play it, you know, to make people feel like, oh, I've been doing this for so many years and whatever. And of course, when he first was talking to the prosecutor, he was saying that when he talks to these people, he know how to deal with them, and that, you know, the way that Moses was testifying to him, he had started testifying in the car, and it's called a conscience. But once a lawyer comes in, then all of a sudden it changes, and they don't like the truth in the system and all this other stuff. And you got the prosecutor smiling like if he just said some, you know, big shit or whatever. And so after that, like I said, Franklin was just basically, you know, going in on him. Not so much going in on him, but definitely trying to catch him up and let it show the type of cop he is and how he looks at things, and the fact that he's the one that wrote out this statement, not Moses, okay? And he wrote it out the way that he wanted it to be. And also to show the prejudices that he has as a cop in his way of thinking. And so, you know, of course, they was trying to say that, you know, they found the drugs in the house and keep that whole storyline going or whatever the case may be. And then certain things he would be like, he don't recall. Like he said he didn't recall, you know, Rufus' last name. And he was like, now, if I didn't recall Michael's last name and I would have been like, Michael who, you know, how would you feel? He was like, I'm sorry about your colleague's death. I really am. But is his life any less than Rufus? And so that's when he said the whole, you know, all lives matter thing or whatever the case may be. And so, you know, pretty much that's what he did when it came to Sarge. And so now we get Logan on the stand. And of course, you know, they're going to be sympathetic to Logan because he was the one there. He was the one that found Michael, and he gives his statement on that. They got the bloody clothes, you know, that he wore that day and all of that. And so we then start to talk about the guns that was used, the bullets and all of that. And they say, well, we found this other gun. We want to get it tested. And so at first, of course, the lawyer's trying to block that. She's like, oh, we're so far into the, you know, trial now, and they just bringing this up last minute, and that takes time. And he was like, well, shoot, why don't we just have them bring the gun up, and then he could say whether it matches his gun or not, or whatever the case may be, you know, the bullet that we found, whether it matched the gun or not. And they go and they bring this daggone gun up, and so he essentially, you know, is a 45 when it was supposed to be a 9. And he keeps asking Logan over and over, like, you already know how it go. You can't tell a lie, you know, on the stand. You could be, you know, up for perjury. Do you want to rethink it? And Logan still keeps saying no. Of course, he looking at Sarge all damn nervous. And so you see it on Michael's wife's face that she knows he's lying. And of course, we know he lying, and Franklin knows he's lying too. And so then when they come out, you have, Sarge come sit next to damn Michael's wife and talk about oh, he's doing good in there or whatever, about Logan being on the stand. And then go on and say to Michael's wife, you fucking him, aren't you? And walk away. I said, the nerve of him. The nerve. But I mean, yeah, they are, and I think everybody could kind of catch up on it. It ain't no secret, but it was like the nerve. And you could see the disgust on her face as she's looking at him. You then have her and Moses' mom in the bathroom at the same time washing their hands, and you have Moses' mom come up and say, he's lying, isn't he? Talking about, of course, Logan with the whole, lying about the bullet and the gun. And you have her looking funny as Moses' mom goes walking out. And so Franklin basically comes up to Moses' mom and lets her know that Joshua's selling drugs, okay? He ain't getting that money from no working. And so now this is going to become a problem as far as, this possibly being money that's been put towards the damn legal fund for his case. And now she's pissed off. And she, of course, wants to go and find Joshua. She's like, where the hell is he? We have them go to that guy that was stealing, that damn Joshua saw him stealing. Of course, we knew that was going to come back to bite him. They have him open up this safe and there's nothing in here. And so he essentially jumps out the window and gets away from him. They shooting after him. And then, Big Daddy Man that's in charge or whatever the case may be, he ends up telling Joshua, like, you should have told me about this or whatever, and grabs him up and brings him with him. And so in the meantime, of course, Moses' mom is on pins and needles, and she's basically saying she should be looking on every corner for him. But the fake ass plumber, okay, stops her and says, let him do it. And then she says, how would they know about this gun? How would they have known about the gun? I don't understand. And so he just looking and it's like, mama, please get some damn sense. He's the only new thing that's in the mix, okay, that could have taken anything back. He came into play as soon as they found the damn bug and they stomped that out. That's when this man came into play. So I'm wondering how long it's going to take her for her to catch up that he ain't shit, okay? And so then we have Brannigan basically, him calling Brannigan basically for him to help him find Joshua, which I thought was so ironic. We got Joshua running around and riding around with, like I said, the big dog in charge. And he basically stops at one point and says to Joshua, like I said, you should have told me that. Not only that, he's telling Joshua that he knows he stole from him too. So when we seen Joshua looking at the money, and I was like, I'm not too sure if Joshua took any. Apparently his dumb ass did, okay? Because Joshua been doing dumb stuff every daggone episode since this daggone series started. And so he says he's sorry or whatever the case may be. He had good reason for taking it. But this guy don't care, okay? He's basically playing Russian roulette with Joshua damn head, putting the gun to his head, popping it. But, thank God it wasn't no bullets, at least not in those chambers that we know of. And then he tells him he's his now. He's going to own him, because he basically was saying that you lucky that I basically still owe your old man. And then he tells him he's his. And that he better stay strapped from this point on. And so, Michael's wife is listening to the tape, that same tape that Logan had that he kept playing over and over and over. Franklin getting drunk in the damn bar, basically the bartender telling him he might have to go ahead and call somebody to pick him up soon. And then we have the lawyer come in and, his partner that was supposed to be his second chair. And she gives him proof that Logan lied about the gun, okay? She basically has his file that shows the weapon that he's been using for all this time. And he's like, well, he claimed, that he was using this 45 for however long. And she was like, well, yeah, he lied, and now we got the proof. And she was like, number one, I'm not no damn snitch. And number two, I know that you're sick. I've been seeing you constantly running back and forth to the bathroom. My father had the same issues. I don't know who you think you fooling. And she was like, does Logan know about this? Okay. Which he don't. I mean, not what Logan, I'm sorry, y'all. Does Moses know about this? Okay. Which we know that he don't. Okay. And so then We have Sarge call up the plumber and say that he got eyes on Joshua. And of course, Sarge just miraculously shows up and knows exactly where Joshua's going to be walking down. And he don't think there's anything strange about that. And he tells him, like, your mother knows, or whatever the case may be, and to get in. And they're going to think of, what to say to her or whatever. And, I'm just like, nobody's sensing that this guy's full of crap, huh? And so Moses, basically comes in and he's pissed with his father, right? He's like, you are so freaking full of crap. He was like, so all this time, you basically had Joshua running damn drugs for you. And he's telling him, yeah, he's not the track star like you. He can't do what you could do or whatever the case may be, and he's more of a man and all this stuff. And he was like, I stepped up. This is what Moses was saying to him. I stepped up and was being a father to him, not your sorry ass. And what kind of man are you? And how could you want this for your son? And I'm asking the same thing too. The father is weird as hell to me. He makes absolutely no sense. You want one son to stay in jail like you, and you want the other son to be out on the street selling drugs and be a gangbanger like you. Boy, bye. I have absolutely no respect for him. We see that when Moses goes to the cafeteria, instead of him going and sitting by them, he basically sits at a table by himself and eating his food. He over it. Michael gets confronted. Michael's wife confronts Logan, okay? She is absolutely pissed with him. She knows that he lies. She basically tells a story about how she could remember how excited and nervous her husband was with choosing a birthday gift for Logan. And he kept trying to figure out, should it be a silver 9, Glock gun, or should it be a black one? And she was like, I know the gun that he got for you. You sat there and lied in that damn courtroom. And he's like, of course I lied. What did you expect me to do? You know what I'm saying? Don't you want this person that basically is the murder of your husband to go to jail? And she slaps the shit out of him. And it wasn't hard enough for me, honey. It was a little baby slap as far as I'm concerned. You needed to come from way back here, sis. But anyway, she slaps him or whatever, and then he's looking stupid. So we see that, as Franklin is sitting in his house, he could hear a car pull up. He hear the door open. But he's waiting, nobody's coming up to the door. He go by the door. He looking because at this point, you don't know, if something could be happening or whatever the case may be. And he opens it. He don't see nobody. But then when he looks down, is a yellow envelope. So lo and behold, I'm like, did they bring him this tape? And sure enough, a couple minutes later, we see him sitting down, listening to the tape of Michael on the tape, of course, talking about Rufus, a.k.a. Tutu. We have Martha come in and ask him what's going on, what's happening, what is he listening to, what is he doing? And he's like, basically, this is Tutu, okay? He says, this is proof that this was not just something where they came and, just so happened that he had his gun out and they had to, shoot him or whatever, because he was like, Tutu. She was like, who? He was like, Rufus. And she was like, okay, what about him? And he was like, he was causing a problem. And she was like, for who? He was like, for Brannigan, okay? And he was like, this was not a good shoot. They basically executed this boy. This was an execution. And so he was like, this changes everything. And she was like, well, you can't use this, Franklin. You can't use this. If you use this, like I said, Janet Porter dies, okay? You would be putting her life in jeopardy. And so he basically was shaking his head to that. And then she goes, Franklin, if you use this, okay, I can't live with you, baby. And he was like, what? Looking back, like, she was like, it's Moses on me. I said, now, wait a minute, Martha. That's getting a little crazy, all right? I see what you're saying, but how you going to throw Moses under the bus like it's Moses or me? And she was basically like, you choose, and walked off. So, honey, what y'all think Franklin going to choose? What y'all think going to happen for episode 8? Okay, the finale. Put it in the comments. Let me know what y'all thinking, baby. This was a pretty decent series, y'all. I don't see a lot of people talking about it. I don't see it, trending on Twitter or none of that. But it was good to me. I've enjoyed it. And I'm definitely curious to see how it's going to all end. Y'all let me know, have you liked it? What you like, what you don't like? What you think gonna happen? Put it all in the comments. Let's discuss. Of course, like, share, comment, subscribe if you are so inclined. Okay, put those flames up. Give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Talk to y'all later. Till next time. Toodaloo.